one of those wanting to alter the customs legislation, which is coming before the House today, being proposed by the government in the Commons, is the Conservative MP, Sir Bernard Jenkin, and is here in the studio. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Can I ask you, first of all, what you make of what Justine Greening has said to us this morning?
Well, it's a little ill thought out, I'm afraid. I mean, if we wanted to extend the uncertainty for another long period, this is one way of doing it. I mean, there would have to be a whole Act of Parliament. And once the Act of Parliament is in place, it will probably take a year to get to the actual referendum. I mean, that's the experience we had before.
Why so long?
It just does, I'm afraid.
But in a case of almost national emergency, you have a Commons, as she put it to us, you have a Commons which is stalemated. Yeah. Nothing can be done. In those circumstances, perhaps this is the only thing.
Let's be clear about why it is stalemated. It is stalemated because the elected politicians are, some of them, refusing to implement the decision that was taken by the British people. And the British people were given this decision because the House of Commons was stalemated on this question. How many times have we got to ping this back and forth? And there also is something of an echo of the way the EU has always tried to bully countries that come up with the wrong answer in a referendum into having another one until the British people, until the people get the decision right. This is not a sensible way forward.
The fact is we are stalemated, aren't we? And when there is no obvious solution to all of this. She's not going to vote for the Chequers deal any more than you are. And there isn't another one.
Well, I suspect the Chequers deal is in fact dead. I'm afraid it's neither beloved by Remainers or Leavers, and Justine's article rather underlines that.
Oh, she said it was. She wasn't going to vote.
And it is also quite likely to be either rejected by the European Union or more demands will be made upon it, so it'll be even less acceptable.
So what? So what to do?
Well, why doesn't the House of Commons just get on and implement the referendum decision?
Because it can't agree on it.
Well, if the House of Commons is going to obstruct the decision of the British people, I mean, one of the remarkable things about the referendum was the extraordinary high participation. The people that Theresa May, on her first day in Downing Street, said she most wanted to represent were the kind of people, the left behind, the just about managing, the people facing burning injustices, the people who don't usually participate in politics. They all voted, and they almost all voted leave. And if we want to represent those people as a party, and indeed if we want those people to participate in our politics, we should trust them. And we shouldn't say, oh, well, they were just voting with their hearts. We've got to be very practical, and they don't really understand what they're voting for. Otherwise, we should never have had a referendum.
It's not the point that they don't understand what they were voting for. The point is that what they were voting for was not put to them at the time. In other words, the various options that are available now, the various things that might happen, were not clearly spelled out at the time. And indeed, people talked about Norway as an option. People talked about all sorts of things as an option. It was a muddied water, and now we put clearly what the options are to the people.
I'm afraid we in the Today's Programme studio are thoroughly in the SW1 talking shop. Out there, and I was out in my constituency at the weekend, people know they voted to leave. And leave means leave.
No, but they might well have voted to leave, but still thought that they would be inside the EEA, that they would have...
If I can finish the point I'm making...
options within leaving.
No,
that's
what they're also seeing is our country is being bullied by a most unreasonable and vindictive commission, refusing to negotiate sensible arrangements. They don't want their country to be bullied. They want their country to stand up for itself. And unfortunately, I fear the Prime Minister has been surrounded by people, by the Remain establishment, all the Remain believing officials who give a very jaundiced advice, and all the Remain business interests.
It's a new piece in the Commons today.
And unless we break free of this and see Brexit as an opportunity, as most of the British people see it, if there is a bit of disruption, I don't think there will be nearly as much disruption as people think. The WTO option is, in fact, much more attractive than people think.
Not to business, it isn't, or those employed by
business is lobbying for their bottom lines and their profits.
Well, yeah, an awful lot of people are employed by the car industry and the Airbus and all the rest.
Yes, but there are a lot of very successful countries that trade across customs frontiers perfectly happily. And the point about this is the WTO option is a sensible framework to trade with other countries. We wouldn't have, if there's no agreement at all.
Is that what it comes down to now? It's interesting you say that. That is now what we're looking at. If there's leaving completely.
Well, if there's no agreement at all, we still have to leave. We have to deliver the referendum result. But the advantage would be, first of all, that we're instantly free of control of our own tariff schedules, control of our own regulation. We can start striking the trade deals in the growing part of the world. We won't have to pay all that money, so we can use that money to help the transition into the wider world. And finally, if the EU does inflict disruption, which I think they will inflict much less of than they say they will, it would be them doing it. It would be them demonstrating they're a vindictive and failing and undemocratic and unaccountable institution.
So Bernard
and it's
Jenkin,
time we left.
We've got to leave it there.
Thank you very much.